I don't care what your office manager says. Presenting at the front desk is not acceptable.
For a multitude of reasons.
So many reasons. And I was just on a case presentation webinar where someone asked a question about presenting at the front desk. Doc and the manager were on the call. And it was a lot of offices. And I said, you can't do it. It's against the law. It's a HIPAA violation.
Yeah, we been could've started, but it's never late. Do it for my kids, yeah, let's set it straight. Do it for your kids, gotta set it straight. It's time to regulate. We need change now.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. And Matt Brown, welcome to you as well.
What's up, Chris?
Man, long time no see. How was your flight?
It wasn't bad. Because living in Wilmington, like we live not really on an island, it's a peninsula, but it might as well be an island. There's trees on one side and the ocean on the other. So our airport has to go like ILM to Atlanta, ILM to Charlotte. So ILM to Atlanta to here.
Well, that explains why you didn't fly into Hobby. Yeah. It's so much closer.
Yeah, no. And there was some timing also with flights. We wanted to get home for certain reasons. So my assistant couldn't make that happen. I was like, what about this? She said, it doesn't work for you. Like, all right, cool. But yeah, it wasn't a bad flight. I love where I live. It's a great quality of life place. It's beautiful. I mean, it's like majestic. But to get anywhere else is hard. So it better be a nice place to live. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
Like, at least it's like, I'd rather stay there than most places.
I'd feel the same way if the water was closer.
Yeah. Because you're not far from the water right now,
no,
right?
we're about 45 minutes away.
Okay.
If you
That's
drive
far
like me.
for me. 5 minutes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So for those of you guys who don't know, Matt Brown is actually the co-founder and CEO, I believe.
Not CEO. CEO is Ryan Raybould. I'm the CRO, Chief Revenue Officer for Energize Group.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about what Energize does, just so that people who aren't familiar with the company have kind of an idea of what it is that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, Energize, it's pretty interesting. So it's because you can just say marketing, right? You can say that we're a marketing company, and then instantly you get kind of like pigeonholed into you do pay-per-click, you do Facebook ads, you do SEO, and you do websites. I like to think we're much more than that, and I'll get into the details about that. Most in the landscape of dental marketing companies, the problem is 90% suck. It just is. It's unfortunate. And it's not really anyone's fault. And these companies are beautiful companies. All the companies make amazing products, right? But in the end, what matters is how much money am I giving back the dentist for what he's giving me, right? And there's a lot of focus on being a visual storyteller or these different things, right? And I'm not saying that they're not important, they're low value, right? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying though is when you combine those things with certain other mechanisms, you can really create some great trackable, real ROI. So Energize is a marketing company, but when we break down our elements, me and the CEO, Ryan Raybould, he's my business partner. He's super smart dude. We think we're really a revenue company is where I'd like to position us as we're a revenue company. You come to us to buy revenue. That's what you do. Right. And we have an amazing Facebook and Meta product where we take the patient, we do the booking of the appointment, we put them in the practice, we remove all the labor from the practice. We focus on fee for service patients with high value mouths. We're really effective at it. Dental Intelligence, the biggest analytics company in the entire industry. They're $750 million company. We're the only marketing company they certify. They our data is so accurate that they're we're willing to say with a Dental Intelligence logo and name that that's how accurate it is, and they benchmark us against the 11,000 practices. So we have a very data-driven approach. The moment you could quantify the response of a patient to an image and text, it kind of became math. Now you have to have a creative element to start that process, but then after that it does become math. So where it really starts for us going from there to all the way to the metrics from DI is the first part of getting return on investment is how's your ads dollars spent, right? And our team, going back to creative versus analytical, our team is one part data analyst, almost one part stock trader with the way they manage our clients' money. So, a lot of times the budget management strategy in marketing is very simple. It's like $1,000, or just for round numbers, this is horrible ad spend levels, but $1,000 on Facebook, $1,000 on Google ads, then we're gonna go see what happens. Well, those $1,000 live in those pots. That's it. They live there. That's the budget management strategy, right? And any type of financial scenario where you're trying to do something, a business, anything, it starts with budget management. Our budget management is pretty amazing. I'm really proud of our team. We have me and Ryan have from the beginning believed in a fiduciary responsibility to your ads dollars. So the ads team is a motto, and their motto is this, and this is the starting point of why we're more effective, and it kind of builds from here, this is the kind of the foundational thing, is our first loyalty is the doc's return on investment. Our first responsibility is how we spend their money. And that's something we take very, very seriously.
Now, you have a lot to unpack there, and we're going to get into more of it. But you said a couple of things there that I really want to highlight. The first thing is most people do business by feelings. And if you ever find yourself in a situation where, if you are for some reason having a business conversation and the words "I feel" come out of your mouth, you really need to take a step back. I know you're laughing because we've had this conversation.
We've had these conversations,
so many times.
me and you. Yeah.
But that's definitely one of the things I want to highlight about what you're saying there. But the other one is an ad spend or advertising total budget should be between 6 and 10% of your gross revenue of your practice, depending upon your retention rate and your desired growth rate.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that. See if my numbers are still right, because it's been about 5 years since I've been in practice.
One thing is we come at things from a very different approach, right? So like a lot of times standardized thinking like that is very outside of Energize. To be transparent, we weren't marketers, we weren't dental professionals. We came to this with a very fresh point of view. We believe that those metrics actually, when people say like X amount of this at this point, those kind of things, we found that like that doesn't actually play out. So let me explain that. Patient acquisition cost is going to be drastically different in Southern California than Oklahoma.
Oh, for sure.
Right. So we ran, a ton of ads in Oklahoma a couple of years ago. We have a ton of practices there, and their acquisition cost was the lowest we'd ever seen ever. They could have spent a fraction of what you said and a really positive return on investment.
No one was investing in advertising in the area.
There was the other, and dentists think it's dentist to dentist competition. It's dentist to everything else competition. Like the dentist to dentist competition, like isn't a factor.
No, I like to tell people you're not actually competing against other dentists. You're competing against Best Buy.
You're competing against
Amazon.
The cruise that year.
Exactly.
Their vacation.
It's expendable income, because that's how most people think about dentistry until they're in pain. So
going back to the budget thing, we kind of do it differently at Energize. So we work backwards, and we actually get into like some nitty gritty to figure out where we think you should be. And the place we start is a completely different place than anyone thinks about. And we start in the practice. So doc comes to us and says, I want to go from $100,000 a month to $200,000 a month. You did it for 3 of my buddies. Do it for me. We start off with, how many operatories do you have? I have 6. What's the split? 2 hygiene, 4 doc. How many days a week are you open? 4. Can we have 8 slots a day for 4 days straight to do free consultations? Sure. And we start working our way through actual practice capacities, because we can say like this percentage of gross of where you want to be, right? But if the practice doesn't act physically able to handle that level of business, because doc doesn't know, right? Then all of it doesn't matter, right? So we had a practice, I won't say the name, it's actually a practice I'm really proud of. And they hired us. And this is where we started working on capacities back, because we realized that was a problem. Doc hires us and says, I want to go to $400,000 a month, right? They're working out of a double wide trailer that's 900 square feet with 3 ops and no waiting room. I don't know this.
Where were they at the time?
Geographically?
No. What were their numbers at the time?
They were doing 2. No.
That's still impressive.
No. I wish I had the ability. I wish these 2 docs were cooler with it. I don't know if they would be or not. These 2 docs are super impressive guys. They're super creative. Like they created a standardized 7 and a 7 hour schedule and took 3 ops and turned it into 6. I mean, they did some really smart things, right?
We should actually have them on a podcast with you and discuss the journey.
That'd be cool. They're really good. They're really good dudes. And that office manager was on her training call with me back then. Back in the day, I did a lot more Energize client facing. And she goes, "Where are we putting these people?" I was like, "Well, how many ops do you have?" And she goes, 3. One's hygiene, and we don't have a waiting room. And I didn't know that before getting into this. So I had this uphill battle with this office manager, and I didn't disagree with her. Right. So after
that's the hardest part when they're not wrong.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, your life's going to suck. Like, you know what I mean? Like that whole no waiting room thing is going to get real stressful real fast when there's 100 cars in a parking lot with, 20 spots or whatever it is. So, we started asking the capacity questions then. So it becomes like, how many ops are doc ops? Then it becomes, how many op hours do we have, right? How many days a week? How many docs are in there? Then where we kind of go down from there is modalities of treatment, right? So everyone wants to say, like, how much do I have to spend to get X amount of patients? How much do I have to spend to do more implants? How much do I have to spend to do 4 more arches? Everyone focuses on this one growth metric. Everyone has their own one little growth metric, right? Well, when you got
mine is net profit.
Mine is too. So mine is where it ends. But there's a point though that doc has to feel clinically fulfilled. Doc has to be doing the treatments he wants to do. If we're doing a drill and fill and his profit goes up, but his hands are working twice as fast, that's still a failure, right? So modality of treatment is critical. So we ask about all the modalities of treatment you like, and then we ask a question. And this question, I think as a marketing company, we navigate the human terrain of the practice and the capacity of the practice way deeper than anyone else. So then we start talking to Doc, and we say, we have an interview with Doc, we talk to him, and he'll list off like implants, right? And I'll say, well, I do implants. And I'll say, okay, well, you're here talking to me because you're doing $70K a month in collections. So do you have the ability to do implants, or are you really doing implants? And then he's like, well, I've placed 10. So the next question we have to go to is, well, Doc, how clinically brave are you? Because if I'm going to go buy all these implant patients for you, and you're looking for perfect cases with perfect bone, I'm not going to be able to get return on investment on that because I won't be able to convert enough, or you're going to be referring out too much. So we have a really cool question. This was my question, because I was trying to figure out how to gauge how brave you guys are. So I was like going through old questions I got in the military and stuff, and I remember a couple questions we had, like rate this on 1 to 10, both being bad. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to ask docs is, rate this on 1 to 10, both being bad. 1 being scared stiff just out of school, 10 being reckless. Which one are you? And a 7 is our favorite answer. So we have to ask all this stuff because we have to build a model of like, if I throw this level of treatment and business into your chair, right? Can you really handle it is the question. And there's other things that make us a lot different culturally. If you're going to do implants with us, you have to have a CBCT on site. If you're going to do Invisalign with us, you have to be using a scanner or any kind of clear aligner. We don't do impressions. And a lot of times they're kind of thrown off by that. Like, you guys care about that, not just the marketing. I'm like, well, it's all part of the process the patient goes through.
Yeah. Every unhappy patient is going to tell, okay, so this is a statistic from back in 1995. I was the youngest manager in the history of a company called Service Merchandise. And so they sent me away for training. And one of the statistics that they looked at was that every unhappy customer tells 10 people, and every happy customer tells 1 person.
Yeah.
And now with the internet, though, those numbers are logarithmically increased.
Yeah.
And so if you're not able to provide the service at a very excellent level, I can understand why you don't want to put more butts in the chair, because you're actually increasing the number of negative reviews faster than the number of positive reviews.
There's also an ethical thing too, which, I mean, people tend to be very surprised.
I love that.
People tend to be very surprised by Energize and how clinically focused we are as a marketing company. Like, my account managers have clinical knowledge hours they go to. Like, I've shadowed surgeries. We want to know what you guys do, right? And I was at a practice. I won't say the state or anything because I don't want to give the guy away. And I was walking through the practice, and this guy had like a bunch of implant failures and stuff, and he been complaining about the quality of mouths I was giving him. And I was like, bro, if people need implants, their mouths aren't perfect, right? And I'm walking through the guy's office, and I'm like, see a Pano, where's your CBCT, man? And he goes, oh, I don't have one. I'm like, what do you mean you don't have one? He goes, I was an engineer before I was a dentist. I took the spatial analysis test. I know exactly where to place it. And I was kind of like, yeah, so this is the deal. We're done marketing implants for you. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm not sending people to you. Like, these are humans. Like I take this seriously. And he was like, oh, the marketer has morals. I'm like, you're a freaking dentist, bro. Oh. Yeah. And there is a thing of like, I think we're different in a marketing company that we're handing you people. Right. Like, we care about like where we're placing these humans. Right. Like, I was in a meeting team wide yesterday. And it was our whole team. It was a pretty big meeting. And so, you guys, we do some awesome stuff. We provide our practices 700 plus return on investment. We take practices to 2.75 million on the norm. We do things like we deliver patients that are worth $2,700 on average. But the real thing that matters is Energize booked 20,000 dental appointments last month. 20,000 in 1 month. We've been doing this for 5.5 years. What really matters is we do a lot of all-in-X, all-in-4 and cosmetic. What really matters is there's more smiles on Earth now than before Energize. And I think that's really cool. So
I think people have a broad understanding of what you guys do now. And I will say, frankly, and one of the reasons we're doing this interview is because we became friends talking at different events and things. Yeah. And I wish that that you guys had been around when I was in practice, because we would have kicked some ass.
Yeah, if I get I'm tell you what, this is, oh man, nothing gets me more excited. If I get a business-minded, aggressive doc that's like, let's put it in my chair and see what happens, isn't picky about what the patient is. I mean, it's magic, man. Like, I was on with a doc that day. He's got 7 practices, and we're talking, and it went over one thing that we believe about financing, and he was like, I'm changing that tomorrow. And I was like, so you take action. He goes, oh, I'm taking notes right now in our conversation. The things you're talking about, they're getting changed tomorrow. And when you have a doc that's like that, it's just like, it's so refreshing, because it's like, I know if I give him humans and I put people in his chair, dentistry is just going to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you and I have talked a little bit about your philosophies now. I'm a big believer that all business is the people business. So I want to get a little bit into your past.
Sure.
And, I know a couple of things about you. Some of your clients may not know.
Yeah.
But what inspired you? I mean, you're a guy with a background in military service and martial arts. What inspired you to launch Energize Dental Group and focus on dental practice growth? I mean, that seems like it's a non-sequitur.
Yeah, so there's a couple like mindset shifts that happened with that. So first, I was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school owner, a former military guy. I was a hand-to-hand combat instructor. I taught lots of special ops guys, and then I was on what's called a long-range surveillance team. I really enjoyed that. And I was pretty much like very focused on martial arts. And then I got a business partner named Ryan Rabel, who's the CEO of Energize. And my weaknesses were like financial. Like, I wasn't good at like balancing a checkbook.
I'm amazed because of our conversations we've had now.
Yeah. Like I'm good at like financial negotiation, calculating things in my head, know where I am in the deal. Like, clerical stuff, forget about it. All right. So, and Ryan was super smart on strategy and scaling. So we started working on this martial arts school together, and we took it from like tiny space to the biggest in town in like 2 years, which you know a little bit about how hard that is to do.
Absolutely.
We had about 350 members. So I finally had this person who like complemented all my weaknesses. Right. I was like, all right, so Ryan's here. And I didn't know what was coming in the future, but we had decided early, whatever came, we were doing it together. Like, that was kind of an early thing for us. Like, no side projects. No one else can. No, we're not doing anything individually with anybody. It's just us. And if we go do something, it's a package deal no matter what. So I'm out wakeboarding one day, and my uncle Wesley Kandare, the comfort dentist in Chesapeake, Virginia, super talented sedation dentist. We're out wakeboarding, and he turns to me. And at the time, I was a kind of like a quasi spokesperson for a martial arts marketing company. And he turns to me and goes, hey, I need to do something in marketing. I was new to, it was actually my uncle-in-law. I was new, married into the family. And he goes, I'm paying $1,200 a month for a website for my dental practice. Listen, doc, there's some craziness out there. You'd be surprised, bro. It was $1,000 a month. It was something like that. And in my head, I was like, man, that's real estate numbers.
Look, love him or hate him. The thing that instantly came to my mind was Trump. This is the best website. It's the most bells and whistles you'll ever see. Just $1,200 a month website.
It was like $1,000. It was something like that. And I remember like thinking like, well, the company I spokesperson for martial arts, we sell a SaaS-based website for $299 a month. So I could create the same product in dental and sell it for $600 a month, right? And as I dug into this more, so to be accurate, the story, I'm driving home from Smith Mountain Lake, Virginia, for wakeboarding for a week with my wife's family, and I call Ryan, and I'm like, "Hey man, we're getting the dental." He's like, "Cool." And then we meet that Saturday, and we start Energize Group, and I mean, we started the company like $600 5 years ago. I mean, completely bootstrapped it, no VC money. I mean, it's built on Ryan's brain and our hard work and me running my mouth. I mean, that's what the company's built on. Like that is it right there. So we launched it, and we quickly discovered like the dental tax in dental of like you guys just getting overcharged for the word dental. And it seems to me that like a good portion of the support industry is all in on that. And I was like, well, this is prime for disruption. As I started researching the marketing landscape, I was like, all right, there's something here. So I spent every Monday for a good time period at a dental front desk learning dental from the front lines. So I knew more as we were doing this. We had 2 clients at the time. One was a client of Ideal Practices, the consulting firm, Steven and Stacy, and they're awesome too. And we got a meeting with Steven and Stacy, and we did really well, and they started feeding us clients, and Energize was born. I mean, they started recommending us for startups. They trusted us. They trickled in with us, give us some here, some there, and then all of a sudden we were getting a lot of their business, and I think now we're like their biggest referring partner or their only marketing referring partner. So it kind of just started like I never planned a dental. I never ever planned to be the guy that I am now in dental. Was never in the cards. Like I never would have. If you told me this 10 years ago, I would have laughed at you. And now we're here. And it was just my uncle was being overcharged. And that's where that was born from. Seriously.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Where do you think your experience is both in the military and martial arts? Because both of us had that in common.
Yeah. That's right. You served.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Well, served. I was National Guard.
Yeah. But, you put the uniform on, you took the oath, you went to training. That's all that matters.
I agree to be a human target.
I mean, listen, you wrote a checkup payable up to your life, whether it was part-time or not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, how did you find your experiences in those 2 arenas have influenced the way that you work in dentistry? How has your philosophy been influenced by that?
On this call, and when you say the word stop, then we'll talk. But I'm not going to let anyone interrupt you, and I'll write everything down, and then I address things in reverse order. I think because of the military and martial arts and being able to have that emotional control in those scenarios, it allows me to do that very effectively, where the client realizes that their emotion didn't transfer to me and they feel better about what I'm saying.
You'll get in reverse order is really smart, because the psychology of it is the last thing they say is generally what they remember the most emotionally.
That's why I always do it in reverse order.
That's really
100%.
Smart.
100%.
So Energize, 5 years old, you guys are kicking ass and taking names. But I mean, you're partners with Dental Intel, Clear, AACA, and Paul Goodman's Dental Nachos. Why did you decide on these specific people to collaborate with? Because I know you said your ethics were one of your biggest guidestones. So, and what does the synergy look like between those different partners?
Yeah, so there's actually a really cool synergy between all of them. So it's really interesting because Dental Intel is partnered with us. We have a very good working partnership with Mango, with Kevin and those guys. We're making more official.
Love Kevin.
Yeah. We like, what's really interesting is Mango's partnered with DI. DI's partnered with us. We're partnered with Mango. And if you look at that trifecta, that's the 3 most data-driven companies in dental. That's the most data-driven phone company, most data-driven analytics company. And I'll throw down the gauntlet. We are the most data-driven marketing company, period, end of story. And what's crazy is out of our 310 accounts, I bet you 80% of them have all 3 products. I bet 80% do. So we'll get into the AACA and the groups here in a second and why we picked them. But these 3 as industry partners, it's a scenario where like if you have Mango Voice and you have their AI product and you have, let's say, Open Dental, and it's putting all the transcripts from all the phone calls. I don't know if you've seen the new AI product yet. It's awesome. Like you can pull it up as a doc, look at the chart and see, you can know more about the patient. You can stop focusing on the clinical purely and you can reference things about the human and navigate the human terrain. And at a glance, you can see how good of a job your staff did with that patient, which is a portion of the data pipeline that took digging and listening to phone calls before, where now it's there at a glance. And when I say that that's like invaluable, it's invaluable.
It is, because everyone knows they should listen to their calls,
but no one has time.
No one does.
You guys don't have time. Between charting and having a life, a dentist cannot sit down and listen to phone calls.
You end up delegating that to the very people who are making the phone calls.
And they think they sound great.
Exactly.
Right. And they do. Like most of these front desk people do a really good job. So and that's important to us too, because we're creating that traffic, right? So like when Mango's in place, we see a lot of really good data on the phone calls. Now, DI, every single one of our meta clients gets dental intelligence because we use their data processing to back up our data, and that's how our system is filled, is from their data. And then we use their data points to measure all kinds of stuff. So if you're on our really big like Halo product, you're going to get DI. So what ends up happening is in most scenarios, all three end up being in there. And when in all three of those touch and affect revenue, right? So then we're there, and DI measures the growth. Mango kind of filters and like measures the beginning of the pipeline, the phone calls, and like gives you like how good is how open is the door to the back of the practice? How open is it to get the doc, right? Then beyond them, you have the most data-driven marketing company saying we're going to use your dollars as best as possible and drive traffic. So we book about 20,000 dental appointments a month. This sounds crazy, but the very first day you turn on our service, we book appointments for you. Most marketing companies say things like oh, two weeks, 3 months. It takes time. It does. It takes time to refine the process.
Right.
But we deliver patients on some level starting on day one. I'm not saying it's going to be a flood, right? But you'll see action right away. And because of all those other data collecting elements being in the same practice, it becomes a recipe for awesome. Like it really does, because we're so data driven, driving to that and then measuring it with DI that you end up having the full loop, right?
Well, I'm pretty big into AI and data systems in general. I know it's some of the conversations we've had previously. I can only imagine harnessing the data sets with Mango's AI voice analysis, Dental Intel's backdoor into the PMS, you guys with your responsiveness, because you guys can make a custom demographic based upon the results of the demographic you're running.
Yep.
Heat map out all the results and really drill down into it. No pun intended. But wow, how powerful is that?
It's powerful. Another really cool thing about the budget management side is this is where like us being able to look into the practice and us being able to influence the process of the practice. This is really interesting. So let's say you do an A/B split test on an ad. There's ABC, AB, there's tournament testing. They're all ways to test ads. So we're gonna have two different ads we're gonna test, A and B. And then depending on, let's say it's lead generation, depending on which one has the lower lead cost, we'll then swap the money over to get more traffic. So we do start out that way, right? So let's say we're running ad A and ad B, okay? Let's say ad A is giving us an initial lead contact cost of like $20 and ad B is $60, right? We'll run them for a period. We'll watch those patients go. Now we may move the money to the less expensive ad, but what will happen in the next 2 months is as those other more expensive patients go through, they might actually have higher ROI. And when we see that, we may move the money back or reallocate other money.
So, like you said, like stock trading.
Yeah. So because we can see, like our account managers can log in our software and see like these are all the people who got treatment and their values. They can log into Dental Intel and see the average patient value is rising and can see patient gain loss and can see collections rising and can see A&R problems. So, I mean, like we're really a revenue company. Like we focus on the revenue. Like I'm not selling you on pretty ads. I'm selling on you that we have an account manager that manages 45 practices, not 100. And they're watching everything. And when you get down to it, what matters is the revenue, right? Now, we have things like organic social media and really good branding, and we have all the creative awesomeness to build around it, and that all supports it. Like if you just run the one, it's a problem. If you run it all, acquisition cost comes down. So because we look at the whole revenue stream from beginning to end, I mean, we literally track everything from click all the way to collections.
No, it's interesting. I think one of the biggest problems most business owners have in general, and you can elucidate on this if you want, is that they are trying to sell to themselves rather than their clients.
Yeah.
There's an old saying that fishing lures were made to catch fishermen.
I was just going to say that.
I stole it, but I think that's a huge issue. You said we're not just selling you pretty ads. And one of the problems is, someone presents you with something that you like, you're going to believe in it, whether it's working or not.
Yeah. So I think it's really easy for a marketing company or like consulting firm. And I don't think this is like a nefarious way to approach something. I just think it's the way it's always been done. So when I say this, I'm not saying this is like evil. What I'm saying is it's just, I don't think the thinking is right. A lot of times they go to a dentist and they say, tell me what your ideal patient is. And they list all this stuff off. And like, I had this happen once. I didn't ask that question, but Doc volunteered it. And Doc was like, I want a middle-aged guy who I can talk to about golf, who drives a Mercedes. But then he's telling me he wants to implant all next cases. And I'm like,
those are too educated to need implants.
Well, they don't need it, right? And the other problem is, Doc wants ads and stuff that he can like look at and be proud of, right? We're very focused on the consumer behavior at Energize. There's a couple places that are really weird. What you guys perceive should work doesn't match the consumer behavior. What you're taught clinically in school does not match the human behavior, the consumer behavior, right? So there's like 3 levels where the perception doesn't match it, and the ideal patient concept doesn't match the consumer behavior. So if we work down from there, right, the ideal patient concept, which is the first place where like the vanity shows up from the dentist, the problem with it is there's this multi-billion-dollar system built around you, Yelp, Google reviews, Facebook reviews, that are designed for the patient to find the ideal dentist. They can leave a review for you. You can't leave a review for them.
No, absolutely. And you know how big of a frustration that is for most of us.
Yeah. You guys went like the patient's like, you did a bad job. And you guys want to say, well, you brought me some crappy x-rays and wouldn't let me pay for x-rays. You wouldn't pay for new x-rays, right? I know the scenarios. So like the ideal patient thing, I'll just say, I think is fake. I don't think there's any data behind it. I don't think there's any, listen, everybody's like, I want to find a marketing company who gets me my ideal patient. If anyone's had success with that and had to be super consistent and found like this place where you can buy ideal patients, I would love to know who they are.
So I'm gonna say a couple things here. One might get you into trouble, and so I'll do that one first.
Go for it.
So I've always found that it is it's endemic within dentistry that dentists take insurance because they are worried about their patients being able to afford treatment.
Yeah.
They make very poor business decisions about taking insurance, I should say. And insurance, in my opinion, is the most expensive and least effective marketing plan that you can possibly engage in.
It's not good for the patient either.
No, it's not.
It's not.
And the other thing is that those same dentists are very adverse to third-party financing because they're worried that patients will make poor financial decisions. And I'm like, okay, pot, you're calling the kettle black here. That's the first thing. I'll have you respond to that or pretend that you didn't hear it.
No. That's I talk about that all the time. It's an easy one for me.
And the second one is I'm gonna contradict you or argue, push back on something.
Argue. Go for it.
There is one way to find the perfect patient.
God in the world.
To advertise only for the treatments that you want to do.
So I was getting there before we changed it.
Oh,
okay.
damn it.
No, I was getting there. Energize mines the marketplace based on treatment styles. So earlier we were talking about how we ask about modalities of treatment and what supporting equipment's there and what your ability is. We focus on mining based on treatment styles. What happens then is if you focus on a patient avatar, it never fits the modalities of treatment you want to do. If you focus on the modalities of treatment you want to do, you're going to get a variety of avatars, but you're at least going to get the treatment you want.
Absolutely.
Right?
100%.
So, and this is going back to the fishing lure thing, and then I want to get back to your first question. You're going to have to re-say it again because I'm really bad with memory. Dentists believe, just like fishermen, that I use this lure for this fish, right? So dentists believe that a implant ad gets implant patients. We have to own there's no patients with dental IQ. Let's just own that first. Patients who need implant, especially because they're normally fee for service, they haven't done this in 10 years, they're high dental anxiety. The reason why you need that much work in your mouth is you've been avoiding you guys.
Absolutely.
100%, right? So with that, based on modalities of treatment, you're going to get a variety of these individuals. Well, if you're not clinically brave enough to transition these, it just never works out, right? So that's why we have to look at things based on modalities of treatment and you as a doc. I mean, that's how you farm. And you're going to end up getting a variety of people, but you're going to get the modality of treatment. And with the fishing lure thing is the implant ad actually doesn't produce as many implants as a crown ad does.
I would say the implant ad doesn't produce as many patients as the embarrassed by your smile ad.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore on Facebook. It's body shaming. Yeah, not allowed.
Wow.
Facebook changes the rules all the time. You're also now. I don't.
Well, it has been 5 years since I've.
Yeah, I think they also got rid of. I think they also got rid of income targeting because.
Really?
Yeah, they've changed the rules a few times now. So I don't work in the ads department. So Brittany, in charge of ads, if you're listening to this and you're upset with me because I said something,
she's screaming at her computer.
She probably
right
is
now.
screaming at her computer. Matt, shut up. You're wrong. So anyway, it's one of those things where the fishing lure might not be what you think it is. I had a doc real quick on this, and then we're moving on to your other question. I had a doc call me and she was like, "You're running a Bridges ad with a picture of a partial in it. Not clinically accurate. You guys made a mistake." And I said, "Okay." I said, "We ran a Bridges ad with a picture of a bridge in it. We ran a Bridges ad with a picture of a partial in it. You got more bridges and collections from the mix-up ad than the other ad." She was like, "Well, that shouldn't be. That's the wrong ad." I'm like, "Says who?" Like, you know what I mean? The patient doesn't know the difference. The patient has a gap in their teeth. It's two different solutions.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like when we mine based on this stuff, you have to look at everything with new patient or high anxiety patient eyes. And we're really good at that at Energize. Like, the real thinking is, I have a bad tooth. I need a new tooth solution. Could be a crown, could be an implant, right? A crown's part of an implant. It's all confusing to them. So we're going to put all those people in your chair, and some are going to say, "I need a crown." You're going to say, "No, you don't. You need an implant." Some are going to say, "I need an implant." "No, we can restore that. We can salvage it. You need a crown." And what's going to happen is your implant business is going to rise and your crown business is going to rise right behind it.
That is an amazing story for that point.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it also, I think, is going to have dentist thinking. Because, guys, if you heard that and you cringed, you do have a problem trying to sell to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's honestly not a... Listen, if Doc has a super established practice, he is where he wants to be in life. Okay? He is where he wants to be in life, right? And the practice is built out. He's met his dream. You know what? If he wants to get a $50,000 website with lots of video on it, and it's something he's passionate about, I mean, high five, go do it, man. If you're growing up from startup or buying an acquisition at 500, 600,000, underperforming, like, no, that time's about effectiveness, right? Being too flashy early is kind of like being a new dentist and buying a brand new Porsche as an associate. Like, maybe we should go get you a Hyundai that gets you to work and is cost effective and is effective.
You know me. I just finally bought a new truck. I've been driving the same FJ Cruiser since 2014.
Yeah,
you know?
I think Energize is like the really nice Toyota pickup truck that delivers no matter what forever, and we're reliable. Like, we're cool.
Well, now that you've seen where I live, I think it makes a lot more sense. I've never been the drive the fancy car dentist.
You can't be where you live.
No.
Doesn't make sense here.
Mm-mm.
No.
So your typical client growth, and this kind of, it fleshes out this different approach that you guys have.
Yeah.
246% patient growth. What strategies drive those results? I mean, I know we've gotten into some of the broad strokes, but
let's get into the minutia of it. So I think the couple things that I think the metric to really focus on is average restorative presented by us, and then also average patient value delivered. And then
I've got a question for that too.
Okay, so I want to look at those, then look at the process, and then that'll correlate a lot easier for this, especially average patient value. I want to get into paid versus free consults in a minute. So our average restorative presented, I want to get these numbers right. The national average on DI's 11,000 practices is 808. Top 10% on DI was like 2,600 and something. Our average restorative presented per exam across Energize, across all the practices, is 2,910. So we beat the top 10%. Average patient value on DI across 11,000 is 606. Average patient value delivered by Energize is 2768, which jives with average restorative presented. Okay. So if you ask the doc what a high quality patient is, they're going to say something about the amount of work they can do. Right. And 2768, my math's horrible. It's 4 point something times more than the average patient value. So every patient we deliver is worth 3 to 5 of your average patients. So let's establish that as this is a target, right? So we run ads and people click on them. And the more they click on them, we start a Facebook Messenger conversation or a text conversation over via SMS. We process them through our communication center. The old failure point there was the marketing company would dump these leads on this poor front desk girl, right? And they would repurpose her as a cold call telemarketer, which she's not. She's a patient concierge. She's upfront. She's there to help your existing patients and be a team member, not have to call a lead in 15 minutes or less, right? So what ends up happening is you're 3 or 4 months into this relationship with your marketer, you're spending more money than you put in your retirement account a month, and you're arguing over the front desk person didn't respond in time, didn't do a good job. Well, that's the biggest failure point. That's where Mango is really awesome too for grabbing that data. So we create a communication center where we handle that. We don't dump it on the front desk girl. We generate, in a lot of scenarios, 450 leads a month. I mean, it's like that would be a full-time person. That's not efficient for a practice. And then what's going to happen is she's only going to call 100 of them. And if you call the wrong 100, you get low return because you're skewing the population. Has to be uniform to be consistent, right? So we created this really awesome, and I don't want to get into the details of how we do it, but it's pretty amazing. We have a communication center that can process conversations amazingly efficient. It is a combination of human and AI. It's human babysitting the AI and being right on top of it to hop in. But we process amazing. We process, I want to get this right, Monday through Sunday, I think 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern is the hours. And honestly, most practices don't even talk to anyone after 5 or on the weekends. It just goes to a voicemail or something. With us, with new patients, that's when new patients want to talk. So we handle that in our communication center. We book the appointment for you. Now, once they're there, it is like a 50-50 no-show rate. And docs are like, well, that's not acceptable. Well, don't put them on your columns, side book them. Don't have them affect production. It's a consultation, right? And the reality is if the patient's worth 3 to 5 times more and you're getting 50% show rate, it's still awesome, right? So let's say we book you 50, 25 show up, let's say 10 accept treatment. Well, 10 that are worth 4 to 5 times more than your average patient because restorative and the work that's there is like 50 average patients, right? So they'll focus on the 50% show rate. This percentage actually accepted, but what was the value of that percentage compared to your existing patient? So basically focusing on the right modalities of treatment outside, then having a process to process them very well, then get them in the practice. Now, what happens once they're in the practice, after you've been with us about a month to 2 months, you get access to our case presentation training. I think maybe you've seen it before.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it before, but the question I was going to ask you is how many dentists actually know how to truly calculate treatment acceptance? I talk to dentists about it all the time, and
there's multiple different ways that people think about it, and it's all kind of
here's the way I do it. You take your treatment that has been paid and appointed, and you divide it by the treatment that was presented.
Yeah.
Because to me, that is the only way to do it. That's the only way. It's mathematically, that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, and I think part of what happens. So let's really focus there. Okay, let's really focus at gosh, there's so much to unpack here. I put so much. There really is. Listen, I'm only in dentistry 5 years. Okay, so one thing I really own is a lot of you have more dental knowledge in your pinky fingers than I have my whole body, but I have also put my full brain to a lot of areas where I think I might know more than some. Okay, so I'm not saying I'm like this vast dental expert, but where we're getting right now, I have put my entire brain to the last 5 years. So I think the other thing that happens is, and we're gonna pack a lot here. I hope I don't lose thought tracks. Is dentists start shooting low presenting, and there's a lot of factors to that. So the person has, let's profile a patient.
Fear of rejection.
Well, I think there's a lot of things, Chris. I think I think that's just one. I think there's a whole lot of things, and I think that our training is really good at eliminating a lot of them. Like no BS. Our training in an hour. I've had docs that weren't clients that took it as a courtesy, and they literally moved their collections $30,000 a month after our training.
I want to actually do your training and then do another podcast about it.
We'll do it today.
Oh, cool.
We'll do it today. We have worked together for 2 days almost. We'll do it today.
Perfect.
So, let's take that whole under-presenting thing. Okay, so let's profile a patient. All right, this is my favorite subject. Just so you know, I love this whole part of it.
It's mine too. That's
this
why
whole part of it is like
do.
I could speak on stage for hours. I could debate this stuff with people. I love this part. So, the first part of it is Mr. Smith hasn't been a dentist in 10 years. Mr. Smith needs 2 implants, 3 crowns, 4 quads perio. Right, call it a $15,000 to $20,000 mouth. That's problem one. Is the number. Right. I think doc lacks confidence in it. I think the case presenter does. I think that there's 3 people that get sticker shock, not 1. I think the patient gets sticker shock. I think the presenter does. And I think doc does. And doc leaves the room so the presenter can deal with sticker shock alone, which he should. Doc should be the compassionate caregiver. She should be the cash register. So, but I think 3 people get sticker shock.
And I'll make the argument that patient should be transported into a different area of the practice whenever presenting treatment prices.
Yeah. So, if you have that ability in the practice. So I'll say something about that real quick as we get more into the other subject. Presenting at the front desk is not okay. Okay, so if you're listening, I don't care what your office manager says, presenting at the front desk is not acceptable.
For a multitude of reasons.
So many reasons. And I was just on a case presentation webinar where someone asked a question about presenting at the front desk. Doc and the manager were on the call. And it was a lot of offices. And I said, you can't do it. It's against the law. It's a HIPAA violation. You can't present at the front desk. That's number one. Number 2, patient's not comfortable. I mean, there's a whole lot of reasons why you shouldn't do it. And she's like, well, that's the only way we can do it. And I'm like, no, that's not the only way you can do it. There's efficiencies you can find to either present chair side if you have to or somewhere else. And listen, I can present chair side in 10 minutes. I'm sorry, but I can. And I can close it in 10 minutes. Like, I don't care how big the treatment is. It could be a giant all-on-X case with a bazillion spots of bone graft and stuff. I'm gonna close it because I'm not gonna focus on that stuff, right? So you cannot present at the front desk. Just if you're a doc listening to this and you know what's happening at your practice, solve the problem. Next, my next favorite is chairside. My ultimate favorite is a case presentation room, but not a room where you're sitting at a desk across from each other. A room where you're sitting on a couch next to each other with a coffee table and it's comfortable.
We think very much alike. We couldn't fit a couch in the room. So what I did is I had an old farm table that I had redone to fit exactly in the room. We had a 50-inch TV in front of them so that they could review x-rays and if the patient had a question, and they could review financials and do financial arrangements in the same area. But they were sitting side by side at about a 25-degree angle. That way they had some face-to-face contact. Unfortunately, it was a small room because I think the couch is a much better idea. It's a totally different mental space you're sitting in when you're sitting in a couch than in a chair.
Yeah. No, it's non-confrontational. It's we're on the same team. It's comfortable. It's less stressful. And then you can have the resources there you need, like the tab with the credit applications. The room's set up for it. Your case presenter gets into a very consistent groove in that space. When you're moving room to room, you might not have the tablet there. You got to leave and come back. There's 1,000 reasons why that's the best scenario. So now going back to under presenting, because that's where we're at now. I think in the patient process is where you wanted to be. The next one is PPO culture takes hold, and because of the first problem of the fear of the number and the anxiety, allowing PPO culture to take hold becomes really easy. It's like a chink in your armor because you're presenting based on yearly benefit amounts, not based on healthcare need, right? So all of us, I'll include myself in this. All of us, our jobs is to do what's best for the patient all the time. Both those things go against that. underpresenting and presenting based off of PPO culture goes very much against that statement, right?
I think you put a very refined point on it. There are a lot of doctors out there who are treating patients' wallets instead of their mouths.
Yeah, and I think we focus too much. So listen, on the end, I focus on return on investment, right? But I think in the case presentation process, we focus too much on the dollars, and we have to focus on how do we get the person to treatment, right? Like, not how.
What are the roadblocks?
Yeah, what are the roadblocks? Like, and from a human point of view, right? So it's like, if I was this patient, what is my preferred buying habit? What is my number one barrier to treatment, right? Like, finding that stuff out is more important, right?
Absolutely.
So going back to
actually, let's explore that a little bit, because I think that's a concept a lot of dentists haven't been exposed to. So in my experience, and I know you have more experience because you have more patients you help than I did.
Yeah.
So in my experience, you have two buying habits. You have monthly payers and you have I hate credit. And so those people are going to want to pay in cash. And your monthly payers,
let's call them
a monthly note.
Let's call them paid in fulls and monthly payment buyers. Paid in full, yeah.
And you have other roadblocks. You've got, is it going to hurt? How much time will it take?
We're going to do
that's almost all of it.
We're going to
right
do my
there.
training. That's my second slide. We just said.
Yeah, there's like 15% of people who have other issues, and most of those, God, I'm going to get into trouble here. Most of those people who have other issues are actually married to someone who's overbearing, and I would say probably narcissistic, and they need them to actually make a decision. But if they bring them into the practice with them, you have a whole other problem. So that 15%, you might want to call it a loss.
Yeah.
But like I said, you have more experience.
Yeah, I don't know if that high of a percentage is that way. I think a lot of people. So I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
So we all hear every day, all day. I need to ask my husband or wife.
Oh, and that's because they have actually a hidden objection that they're either afraid to tell you or they are embarrassed to tell you.
So
in general,
maybe. I'm going to say no. Actually, I'm going to say you're completely wrong, Chris.
You and I can argue later.
But yeah, you're completely wrong. So
I am okay with being completely wrong. I have built my reputation
you are.
on solving being completely wrong.
I'll tell you this because of my training. I'll say, do you guys believe they're just saying it to get out of the chair? And most staff members say yes. Okay. Then I say, are you married? And they go, yeah. I'm like, can you make a multi-$1,000 decision about your husband or wife? They're like, well, no. I'm like, well, that's the most valid decision. The reason why dental professionals...
That is very fair.
Yeah. The reason why dental professionals have this negative emotion about it is because you hear it every day. Okay. So this is the way this works. So we present, I use the phrase, which payment option is best for you? Because it's a patient-centric way to ask for treatment.
Right.
It's my favorite phrase. And they come back and say, I need to ask my husband or wife, but I would pay in full. Right. Well, the moment they say...
You have to ask that follow-up question though.
What?
Oh, not a problem at all. We understand that these financial decisions are a team effort.
Yeah.
Which way do you think you'd prefer? Because then you're getting an affirmation.
Yeah, you don't need to ask that question.
Okay, so why not?
I'll tell you why. Because the first question always volunteers it. So I say, which payment option is best for you? They always reply, I would finance, but I have to talk to my husband or wife. So our first question gets you both answers.
Okay.
I mean, like 90% of the time, Chris. Like if I say which payment option is best for you, what you're going to volunteer is preferred buying habit and then barrier to treatment. The moment I ask the question, no one's going to say one without the other. Think about it logically.
No, okay. There's the fallacy of your argument is that you were thinking about it logically.
Yeah.
All decisions are made emotionally and justified logically.
But what I will say is it's very consistent response rate.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, so like when I'm in a practice, I say this, which payment option is best for you? They say, oh, I'd probably prefer to finance, but I really have to talk to my husband. Or I'd probably prefer to finance, but I have bad credit.
And that is a very fair answer.
Yeah.
Because you're getting an affirmation because, except treatment acceptance is based upon nesting affirmations. It's building a ladder to acceptance.
So going back to this, the problem with our response to that answer is we have so much negative emotion built up about it that it works out like this. We have the paper in front of us. By the way, I hate the printouts from the practice management softwares. They're confusing. They don't understand it. It ends up on the floorboard of their car and it never gets looked at.
Have you ever talked to Travis Campbell?
Is that what Travis says?
Travis Campbell tells people not to print out that shit from their PMS.
100%.
What you do is you put down
agree with Travis.
Here's the treatment, here's the case, here's the price, and here's what it includes, if anything, but never include line item prices because then they think they're at Piccadilly and they can say, I want one of these and one of those.
Well, also they don't understand it.
Right.
So you present, you say which payment option is best for you. They say, I have to ask my husband or wife. By the time the word ask comes out, because we have so much negative emotion about it. I coach this all the time. I'll be behind the chair watching the case presenter. And they'll say, oh, and their facial expressions, their mannerisms, their voice inflection, the presenter's body language changes. So on the other side, the patient perceives that as they think I'm full of it.
Right.
Well, we have to protect against that projection of negative emotion.
Absolutely.
So whether you believe they're saying it to just get out of the chair or whether you believe it's a valid answer, you still have a negative emotion you're projecting about it. So I say, which payment option is best for you? They say, I have to ask my husband or wife. I say, I understand. So do I. You do? Of course. Who can make this kind of decision about their husband or wife?
And that's brilliant. And I can already tell you have read and you practice the principles of influence.
Have not read it.
I'm amazed. Because what you just did.
I thought you were going to say the Ziglar book on sales or whatever it is.
Oh, Zig Ziglar?
Yeah.
I haven't read that in years.
Yeah, I would like to know what the book. I've never read that book.
I have it over here. I'll let you take a look at it this evening. But basically, people like to do business with people they like.
Yeah, 100%.
People like people that they have something in common with. So what you did right there was brilliant because you took something that could be an objection. And instead of taking it as an objection, you took it as a way to create another affirmation. That affirmation is, you and I are alike. I understand you completely. We have commonality. We share the same reality.
Yeah.
So since we share the same reality, we can solve this problem together.
Yeah.
We're on the same team. I love that. That is a fantastic answer.
If you take my case presentation training, we'll do it today at some point together and record afterwards and talk about it. There's a few places we say this is a pro tip. It's hard to believe our 1 hour training is very impactful. And the way it works at Energize is going back to how granular in it we are with the practices is you'll get your base case presentation training. So going back to that process we're talking about, you'll get your base case presentation training about 2 months into being an Energize client, maybe 30 days. I'm not sure what the timeline is now. And then that's usually a group training. And then you struggle a little, then you get a one-on-one training with me. It's me. Like it's my, I say this on every call. If you ask my staff, they'll tell you too, Matt's favorite thing that he gets to do every day is one-on-one case presentation training. If you ever go to my training, there's a couple of rules. One, you better have a working camera so we can see each other. You better have all your AV stuff working before you get there, because if you have a working camera, I can really become your teammate. So the case presentation training kind of revolves around all that. Then you can get more focused stuff. Then what's really unique about us is we go consult by consult, and it was called a consult review. And every single patient we provided in a time period, it'll say you're a practice struggling with converting, right? Or you're struggling with hitting that higher average patient value. There's trends that we see in the data. And we'll say, we're going to do a consult review, and it'll be me, doc, case presenter, the three of us on a call, right? And it's not like me telling you best practices and me telling you what you're doing wrong each patient. I have 6 standardized questions I ask per patient. And based on the standardized questions, I can start seeing trends. Like, you're only converting PPO. You're not converting the fee-for-service patients. No one is financing. You're not doing a lot of credit apps, like different things like that. And then in that, we find recoaching moments. Then we go back to the case presentation training. We might focus on just your membership program. We might focus on just your financing. We might focus on financing plus rebuttals. Like, we teach, this is going to sound bizarre. We teach that every single time you present, new patient or existing, take the tablet in with you, pre-fill out name, address, phone number, everything on that credit app, because you fill it out faster than them, offer financing, and if they want it, just flip it over, hit sign and submit. If you start doing that, your credit apps go through the roof.
100%.
And that that's what creates higher average pay. That's how you create that $2,700 average patient value.
I actually taught my team to present credit first and present it as a monthly payment.
We're going to do my training today. Yes. It's example of monthly payment. We have not run your credit yet. It's what it could be. And that's normal. And office managers call it like a deer in headlights. They go, well, what if it changes? Oh, it's going to change. Right? And the consumer is used to it. The consumer is used to, I go to a car dealership, it's $399 a month with the 3,000 down, right? And then they run their credit and you're actually B tier and it's $450 a month. They're used to that. Don't be scared of it. Don't be their financial advocate.
They know.
They know. They know.
So, okay, we've covered a lot of the how.
Yeah.
Let's get into the what. What kind of key services do you guys offer? Because if by now hearing this and seeing the excitement that you've got for what you do and your passion, if they're not interested by now, they've probably turned off the podcast. Yeah. You have a podcast. We're going to cover that. But what types of services do you guys offer?
So we have the full digital thing. We have a branding package. We have organic social media. We have SEO. We have Google Ads. Our Google Ads are almost as unique as our Facebook ad process. Our Google Ads guy, who's the director over there, Matt's pretty creative thinker, and he's come up with some really awesome ways to do Google Ads differently that have proved to be really effective compared to how many dollars we spend. He's a pretty amazing guy. And then we have, of course, our super meta growth product with the appointment booking and all that stuff. And we have a website product called Smart Sites I'm really proud of, where we charge like $3.99 a month plus hosting, and there's no money up front. And our opinion on websites is very counter the whole industry. So, and there's nothing wrong with these kinds of websites, but people are spending $30,000 to $50,000 sometimes for a website, and they're financing them, right? And, if I ask the average patient, do you surf the internet more on your phone or on a desktop? They say
always the phone.
Always the phone, right? So if we take a $50,000 website, a $10,000 website, and a $399 a month website and put them on the phone, they all look the same, right? So 90% of traffic is through this little peephole called a phone. And all of a sudden, all websites look the same on a phone. So from a practicality point of view, our websites integrate into our tracking software and the whole data system. So when you go in and look at the patients in our system, you can see like Form 2 homepage, chat widget, implant page, and you can see the collections that came. Like you can see the whole thing. Like clicked on this ad, ended up on the website. This was the modality of treatment. This was the collections. Like you can see all of it, right? And our websites are focused on consumer behaviors, and they're beautiful websites. They're beautiful, but like the focus is very much on what is the patient behavior. And I think Dante told me this once. The average patient's attention span on mobile is 3 clicks and 2 scrolls. Mm-hmm. So within 3 clicks and 2 scrolls, we have to make sure they know that we have the modality of treatment they want, and they have to get a contact within those clicks, right? So our website is designed, not adapted to mobile. It's designed for mobile first, because that's it now.
I love it. And based on the things I'm hearing, I'm thinking you probably push the online scheduling a lot, because otherwise your website is not actually converting.
Yeah, so it's kind of mixed. The online scheduling, like if you have engagement from DI, which I think is the old Local Med, I think is, and they bought it up. Mm-hmm. We find, well, in my experience, we find that returning hygiene patients will rebook through that.
Free consults will too, and we can get into free consults.
Free consults will, depending on the source. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if I'm out there on my own and I'm searching for you and I'm already motivated, I will possibly do that because I already am, right? So they see free consultation, book here, they will. When patients come from ads, they're not already motivated. They are much less likely to do it that way. That's why SMS text becomes way more proactive and engaging, because you have to understand, like the person. So I'm looking for. So I'm the same guy, Mr. Smith, with a $20,000 mouth, and I'm looking for Doc Hoffpauir for my implants. Right? I have made a decision that these life events have happened, and it's time for me to shop. As a free consultation, I'll book through the website because I'm motivated. I'm coming from somewhere. When we're going out and looking for patients that need these modalities of treatment, they have maybe had those life events yet. They're not quite as motivated. That's why the texting is way more engaging, because we go right to their phone. They don't have to make a proactive movement. We made the first proactive movement by texting them first.
That makes a lot of sense. So my experience was previous to everything that evidently changed on Facebook, I became a member of every single Facebook group. We have something around here called Talk of Alvin. It's a Facebook group that is for Alvin, Texas. So every town within 50 miles, I became a member of their Facebook page. And I would go on it every single day and I would search for questions about dentists or toothaches. And I would just answer their questions.
100% smart.
And I wouldn't say, hey, we're taking new patients. And I would say, hey, we've got some great information over here, including free dental services at other practices. Just click this link. And then, of course, the first thing that pops up is free consults.
Yeah.
And you would not believe how many people who thought they needed free dental work were suddenly patients because we had third-party financing and, you know, they really needed implants, and free dental clinics don't do implants. They do maybe extractions, usually just extractions.
And that goes back to, well, one, that person's motivated because they're asking a question, right? Two, docs think oh, we use this bait to get them here.
No, you lead with a give every single time.
Yeah, you lead with a give, and the reality is going back to doc underpresenting and confidence problems. When that person hits their chair that was looking for free dental work, even if they didn't expect implants to be free, doc has a problem explaining that now. Right. So, I think docs have a problem, or dental professionals, not docs, everybody does. Where do you draw your confidence from in talking to these individuals, right? Like right now, our confidence is being eroded by the price, by PPO culture. In dental school, you guys never got training on this, right? Which I think is a gigantic mistake.
I was so lucky that I was an entrepreneur before. I think we talked about this. I owned a remodeling company and several other things. And so I was used to big price tags, first of all, because when you're doing an addition on someone's house, you're presenting, back when I did it was like $50,000 in that range. But that was back in the early 90s. So I'm old.
Yeah. So, it goes back to that. So the question becomes, where do you draw your confidence from?